Justin, is AI making us smarter or are we just becoming dependent on it?
It's making us smarter. I define being smarter as being able to solve problems that we previously weren't able to solve. And with AI, people are solving problems that they could never do. If you never studied computer science, you could never write code, but now you can. So inherently, you are smarter. AI is kind of like a new calculator. Calculators did the math for us, but we still don't understand what equations to use, what to input into the calculator. So AI is similar. It can generate and process a lot of information, but it's still on us to guide, think through, and interpret the results. So yes, AI does make us smarter and maybe a little dependent as well.
So I got a question. You know how everybody knows ChatGPT now? Everybody will go and ask ChatGPT instead of Google, and AI is searching for everything. Do you think it's making people smarter or more stupid? Because, like, some people are just going to use it and just use it to do everything for them, right? And some people are going to use it to grow. So, in your opinion, is it going to make people smarter? Or are we just going to get to the point to where we can't even think for ourselves? We're just going to be walking around zombies like, hey, do this for me. Hey, do that for me. You know that little movie? I can't remember. I think it's like Wall-E or something like that. But all the people are just laid back in the chairs, fat as hell, and just rolling around, just kind of like typing on stuff, and it's walking for them, it's doing everything for them. Like, are we gonna get that lazy, or do you think it's just gonna make us that much better at learning and like doing things? Or do you think it's gonna be both, and some people are gonna go one way and some people are gonna go the other way?
Guys, I don't know, but this just popped into my head. Maybe because of the way the whole world is revolving right now. Hey, beautiful people, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by. So credit goes to the creators in this video. Guys, we know that in the last few years, something has changed. I mean, talking about how we think, how we work, how we learn. Tools like ChatGPT have become our new helpers, right? Admit it, that's it. They answer questions in split seconds, right? Many of us have even abandoned Google. I mean, they write messages, they explain topics, translate languages, they help, students with homework, and for so many people, this feels like a superpower. I mean, you don't need to sit down and search 20 websites just to ask, one question. Just type it on ChatGPT and it will explain everything clearly. And this has made learning easier and faster. I mean, a student who is confused about maybe maths, history, or science can get help immediately. And people trying to write maybe emails, reports, or you have a job application you have to fill, ChatGPT can help you. And even language learners use AI to practice, new words, grammar. And so many people say that they understand things better now because ChatGPT explains it in a simpler way. And yes, AI can make us smarter. It gives us information quickly, right? It pushes our thinking forward. It opens our minds to new ideas. But the question is, are we really learning or are we just copying the answers? Guys, that is where the real debate begins. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's see what these creators have to say. And I'll see you soon.
So does AI make you smarter or dumber? An MIT study found that it makes you dumber. And the Yale study found it makes you smarter. I don't know if it's commentary on where the two studies were being done, but what was universal across these studies is that people find AI less judgmental. So think about it, right? Who would you rather do math in front of? We can put it in the comments. Your boss, your mom, your spouse, an AI. Obviously an AI, right? Because it's not judging you. And these studies found that that was true. This one was so inspiring. It said that children with autism were less anxious when learning with robots because the robots were more human-like, but also they were not judgmental. And I understand that. Right? I have a client who installed something on her computer where it flashes at her every time she uses like or in a sentence so that she can get rid of her filler words. Right? That's amazingly non-judgmental. I remember my mom trying to do that at the dinner table when I was a teenager. It was horrendous. I guess this is why people are drawn to AI as therapists, as coaches. You can admit what you're struggling with. And at work, we all know that if you got 1% better a day, you'd be 37 times better at it by the end of the year, but it's so hard to build that in. And so what's amazing is when you can build AI as a coach, where it can sit alongside what you're doing and it can say, hey, I know you're working on structured communications, or I know you're working on this goal or that goal. Let me nudge you and provide advice and provide help and explain to you why something's better. So I think there's a lot of potential here for rapidly accelerating learning.
The most groundbreaking studies of the year just dropped, and I'm going to explain it to you in less than a minute. Researchers at MIT asked 3 groups of people to write an essay. The first used ChatGPT, the second could use Google, and the third had to do it solely using their brains. Results are intuitive but terrifying. ChatGPT group had the lowest brain activity in the 32 regions measured. Essays were nearly identical, and English teachers called them soulless. For the third essay, most people just copy-pasted whatever ChatGPT gave them. They basically stopped thinking entirely. When you use AI to think for you, your brain literally turns off. Neural pathways for creativity, critical thinking, they just don't fire. Brain-only group showed the highest neural connectivity. Brain is designed to work through problems. At the end of the study, the ChatGPT users could not even remember what they wrote. Those users bypassed deep memory processes entirely. You can be productive without actually learning anything. Brain treats AI-assisted work like it never happened. These are not just making you lazy and dependent, or preventing your brain from developing the basic capacity to think.
You're so right. Because people are saying that if ChatGPT gives the answer, why should we think by ourselves? And when everything is explained to us, we might become lazy thinkers. We'll stop analyzing, we'll stop researching, and we might even lose basic skills. Talking about writing without help, solving problems alone, or thinking critically, which is very important to existence. And there's another problem, guys. You should not take everything ChatGPT says hook, line, and sinker, because not everything AI says is correct. Some answers can be wrong or incomplete. When I use AI and I discover that this answer you're giving me does not sound true, does not look true, this calculation does not look correct, and I type it in and I say, this is not true, look into it again, and it comes back to tell me, oh, you're absolutely correct, this is what it should be. So, but the problem is that if we trust AI too much, we might accept everything without checking facts. And once people start checking information, right, once people stop checking information, misinformation will spread very easily. And also, students sometimes use AI to do homework instead of learning. People use it to write full reports instead of practicing their own writing skills. And slowly, the ability to think deeply, can become weak, guys. If here is ChatGPT is so powerful, really, really powerful, but it can make us dependent. It can make us think less. And guys, you know that when we think less, we learn less. That is exactly when it can make us dumber, not smarter.
AI is making us dumber, and not just in the ways we previously thought. Up till now, when we've talked about AI making us dumber collectively, usually what we're referring to is people not learning skills that historically they would have because they're relying on AI to do certain things for them, like college kids using AI for all their coursework. And yes, this includes critical thinking. But guess what? It actually gets worse. Because not only does AI make it so that you're not learning those skills, new research suggests that it's also making you unlearn those skills that you previously knew. I'm calling it now. Soon there's going to be an offshoot to the skill issue insult referring to de-skillification, which is a concept that we now have to worry about. Yippee! They looked at the de-skillification of doctors, specifically in identifying cancerous cells. And by the way, the 19 doctors that they looked at were highly experienced. They basically looked at whether or not using AI for a stretch of time would affect their skills without using AI. So they looked at them 3 months before exposure to AI and 3 months after, and they found a relative decrease of 20% in their skills. The rate of identification before exposure to AI was 28.4%, and the rate after was around 22%, which doesn't sound like a lot because it's an absolute decrease of 6%. But again, this was over a short amount of time, and one of the researchers is quoted as saying, like, hey, if it's for a longer time, it's probably gonna get worse. Also, an over 20% decrease in one's own skills is absolutely a problem, especially if you're a highly experienced expert in the field. Some people are going to say, well, 28.4 is not a very high rate of identification. AI can probably do better, and you're probably right. The problem is, and there's a lot of problems with this, but one of the big problems is AI is not perfect, and you need human experts to be able to recognize when AI is messing up. Also, AI is at least partially trained on human expertise. In like scientific settings, it's a little different than LLMs. It's not just based on previously produced human work product. And of course, an AI can be great and very accurate one day, but things happen, and not just like tech issues, information can be introduced to the data set that confuses things. Sure, maybe we have enough experts this generation to identify when AI is going all wonky, but what about the next generation? The ones who are getting through college and medical school with AI? Who's going to train them on the human expertise that is now being lost to AI? I'm not saying we shouldn't use a tool that results in better outcomes, obviously. I'm just saying that we need to start thinking about how to work around some of these risks. And reminder, while this study looked at the de-skillification of medical doctors, which is probably the scariest example they could have started with, this de-skillification issue probably applies across the board. So not only are people not learning skills when they use AI, people who use AI for certain things and excuse it by saying, well, I already know how to do this, so I don't need to practice it, it just saves time or whatever, you're also losing those skills actively and rapidly. Which, by the way, shouldn't surprise you. I talked about this in a very theoretical sense months ago. And yes, by the way, this does go for critical thinking skills
Guys,
too.
the simple truth is that ChatGPT is not the problem. How we use it is the real issue. And people have abused it so much. It's just like a calculator doesn't make somebody bad at maths, right? It aids you, it helps you. But it only becomes a problem when somebody never tries to understand the mathematics behind it. Do you get it? The simple truth is this is the same for AI. If we only copy the answers, AI makes us weaker. But if we ask why, how, what if, AI makes us stronger. And the smartest people are not the only ones, they are not the ones who rely on AI. They are the ones that use it as a partner, not as a replacement for their brain. So we can use ChatGPT to brainstorm ideas, to learn faster, to translate languages, and to improve our writing. But we should still think independently, right? We should double check our information, and we should still have our own voice. I mean, AI should help our brain, not replace it. So the question, does ChatGPT make us smarter or dumber? The answer is it depends on who is using it, because AI is not our brain. It's only a mirror, right? It shows us who we really are. And if we use it wisely, it can really lift us higher. But if we depend on it blindly, it definitely can bring us down. So in the end, ChatGPT will not decide our future. Our critical thinking, our thinking will decide it, guys. If you disagree or agree, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video. Ciao.